Crazy afternoon for the National Football League on Monday. Look at those names. 37 positives in all for the NFL on Monday. The Dolphins running back room decimated. All three of them are on the COVID reserve list. We had Jalen Ramsey and Tyler Higbee catch most of our attention because they played, or didn't, as the case may be, on Monday night. But 37 in all. It just shows, Chris, that number one, it's still out there. Number two, it's still spreading like it always has. But number three, I think there's an element of complacency,
definitely
malaise, fatigue, and it's creeping in at a very inopportune time for the NFL as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. They need to be very concerned about having, I think, they need to be planning this now, some sort of a protocol for the postseason. Remember last year we were arguing for bubbles and hotels and get these guys away from everybody just for the playoffs.
Right.
They may want to start thinking about that. If they want to have preservation of competitive integrity for the entire postseason, it may be that they need to say to the players, look, it's 4 weeks or so where you're not going to be at home. You're going to be staying in this hotel. Maybe they're going to need to do that, given what happened yesterday. Whatever it is, they better start coming up with some ideas, because yesterday is as strong of a shot across the bow as the NFL could have had about where this could go as we get closer and closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I think as a country, we're all in fatigue. We're worn out. You know, it's been a constant battle, and, you know, you're physically tired from it. Here up in, like, the Connecticut area, it's gotten bad again. You know, so there's issues here. It's everywhere. You're right. And, I mean, the names that were released yesterday that were on the COVID list, I mean, come on. Those were some big names, some real difference makers for football teams, you know. And I think we both know, we've heard from people around the league that the NFL is concerned about it. There's no doubt. You know, I think there's even concern when we get into the conversation of the Super Bowl week and those issues. How could they not be? You know, again, we don't want the product to be hurt. I don't want to watch a playoff game without, like, the three best players on each team playing. You know, nobody wants to see that. We want to see the teams at their best. We want to watch the stars out there playing. I certainly would have loved to have seen Jalen Ramsey out there last night. There's no doubt. It's amazing they won without him, but it would have been more fun to see him out there and going up against Hopkins and company. And it gets back to our old conversation here, Mike. Yeah, do you get into the NFL and you like them to make these protocols, or, you know, do you leave it to the teams and go, hey, there's another competitor in the arena, and it's called COVID, and we're going to see who and what teams think it's most important and do the things that are necessary to put themselves in a spot where they're not hurt by this, like we saw the Bucs do at the end of the year last year. You know, they seem like they buckled down on all that, realizing what they had. And it's going to be interesting to see here, because you're right, it seems to be everywhere.
Well, and the Buccaneers had traveled nowhere for the Super Bowl last year. The Chiefs flew in on Friday. I think that we're probably going to be in line for a similar type of experience this year, where they keep the players under lock and key. But the question becomes, even before you get to that point, what do you do to ensure that we don't have, on the day of a playoff game, key player not available because of a positive, or the Monday before a playoff weekend, something like this where 5, 6, 7 names of players. And this is where the process is so imperfect, and they really need to work on these protocols and ask themselves, does this make sense? Because a lot of these guys that tested positive yesterday played the day before, presumably with COVID. And this gets back to the point that was made by Amari Cooper in somewhat awkward fashion, and he got dragged a little bit for it. But the idea that, hey, if I'm asymptomatic, why can't I play? And we've talked about this before, Chris. I think the next step in the evolution of these protocols is to come up with a way to let guys play who may be positive but who are asymptomatic. And see, what's going to happen now is my email box is going to be flooded with people saying, how dare you suggest that someone who's positive for COVID be allowed to play? Well, there's been no evidence whatsoever in 2 years that it transmits on a practice field or during a game.
Field, yeah.
It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't.
Right.
It's the safest place you can be if you're an NFL player around others who may have COVID. So that's where the NFL and the NFLPA need to come together and say, is this really the right way to do it? Guys who are asymptomatic but who are positive, we just blindly remove them from the entire NFL universe for X number of days. They're going to have to, because this isn't going away, so they're going to have to come up with a better way to deal with it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that would be the approach. I mean, your point, or the fact that you state it is real. I mean, yeah. I mean, again, we saw Jonathan Allen for the Washington football team, Rashawn Slater, for everybody. I mean, how many pictures did we see during the pandemic? Whether it was Stephon Gilmore face-to-face with Patrick Mahomes as he had COVID. I mean, Mahomes didn't get it. We see offensive linemen like a guy like Rashawn Slater. Yeah, he was blocking. He was face-to-face with all these Giants defensive linemen in the game the other day. We'll see. I doubt the Giants D-line gets it. I doubt it. We haven't seen that happen. Jonathan Allen, Washington, same thing with the Cowboys offensive linemen. Face-to-face with them. So there is something to that on the outside, and I would bet you most players would get behind the idea of asymptomatic, we don't care. Let the guy play. We'd rather have him here. It goes back into the category again of I don't think most players in the NFL really give a damn about COVID. I don't. I think there's a respect there, but I don't think there's a fear of it. And we'll see. But the NFL definitely got a little bit of a conundrum on their hands here.
The NFL sent a memo yesterday to all teams that requires Tier 1 and Tier 2 staff, that's coaches, general managers, front office people, to get a booster by December 27. The memo itself was vague as it relates to players. It does not apply to players. They're still talking to the union about boosters for players. I mean, I thought it would be fairly simple. If you've already created vaccination protocols for the players to maintain the status of vaccinated, you have to get the booster by December 27 or whatever. And, this is where the union is in kind of a weird spot. The union agreed to protocols that pissed a lot of players off, but the union, I think, agrees with the NFL that they need to take this seriously. They didn't do a vaccine mandate. And I don't know how hard it would be at this point to just say, hey, you're considered vaccinated under the protocols. To maintain that status and not go to the unvaccinated side, you got to get your booster. You've already gotten the shot. You got to go get your booster. That seems to me like a 5-minute negotiation. Hopefully the union and the league can figure that out quickly, Chris.
Yeah, hopefully they can. I mean, I can understand if they want to go that route. Again, they're protecting the entity that's special. It's the NFL. It's playoff time. It's big money, TV money, ratings, everything there. So that's a real thing. And, within that, if they're going to do that, the only thing I'll say is they're going to do that, and they're going to make guys who, again, there's going to be a lot of guys, and there already is a lot of guys that didn't want to get vaccinated, that got vaccinated to play and have done the proper thing, and now you're going to make those guys get the booster, and they're going to do that. They better be as strict as possible with the guys that are not vaccinated at all. That's to me, that's where it's not acceptable. You can't expect most of the league to go get vaccinated and do this, and then we're going to let a few stars around the building not deal with any of the rules, and they can do whatever the hell they want. That crap better end then. I mean, that to me would be totally unfair, and that's where the NFL would need to step in a little bit and start being the sheriff a little bit more and being involved and stop putting it on the teams and go, no, we got to do this. If we're going to make guys get a booster shot, then we got to make sure guys that aren't vaccinated are wearing the mask around the facility all the time. Not just every now and then when I'm in the public eye. And that would seem to be fair to me as well.
And it's a great point, and let's not get numb to that. The NFL has done itself no favors this year, given the impression it's created that it really isn't all that interested in enforcing the protocols that should be enforced, starting with Aaron Rodgers being allowed to show up multiple times per week in a press conference room without a mask on, even though the team and the league knew he was unvaccinated. No one else did. They allowed him to continue to show up. And then when it finally hit the fan, they pick one violation out of how many and only punish him for the one because they were asleep at the switch for all the others, even though he knew every time he was doing it, he was violating protocol, and he was doing it deliberately and almost defiantly.
Yeah.
He said it himself. It's a stupid rule. I'm not going to do it. And they never did anything about it, and they still wouldn't have done anything about it, Chris, if he hadn't tested positive.
Yeah.
And then you have Antonio Brown more recently, the fake vaccination card. If he just pays his former live-in chef, Steven Ruiz, we never know that he's had a fake vaccination card, and he's still mingling unvaccinated with Tom Moore and Bruce Arians, who are both at risk for different reasons. Tom Moore, 83, Bruce Arians, 3-time cancer survivor, and we never would know.
No.
And what did they do? And they, I got to give them credit, and this is a benefit. I'm sorry that I'm getting on a soapbox here. This is a benefit of having bright, shiny objects. We got one Thursday, Chargers, Chiefs. We got a bunch of them Sunday. We got one next Monday, Vikings, Bears. Saturday, we got 2 of them on Saturday, bright, shiny objects. Nobody ever pays sustained attention to the warts on the underbelly of the NFL and the fact that they're on notice that one of their teams had 3 fake vaccines, 3 of them on one team. And they bury their head in the sand on the other 31 teams with some stupid-ass formula as to, well, we don't think there's a problem here because the rate of positivity among the vaccinated is the people who were vaccinated on site is the same as the people who were vaccinated. Get out of here with that crap. There are fake vaccination cards throughout the NFL, and they don't want to find them because they either don't want to spend the time to do it, they don't want to spend the money to do it, or they don't want to scrape the egg off their face when they find out that there's 100 fake vaccine cards throughout the NFL. And as this gets worse, the problem becomes more significant, but they're going to continue to ignore it, Chris. So, your memos have no credibility with me if you're not doing what you have to do to enforce your rules. And if you've got guys who are committing fraud on the entire process and you're not looking for them, that causes the credibility of the whole thing, in my mind, to collapse. Sorry.
Definitely. No, don't be sorry. I mean, you're right. I mean, again, if I was playing in the NFL and didn't want to be vaccinated and got vaccinated to, hey, let me do the right thing by, my teams, my players, my own job, the competitive nature, man, I didn't really want to get it, but I'm going to do it, and also do it so the protocols will be a little less on me, and then I'm going to see some guy skirt the rules, and, he's going to get the same benefits, even though he didn't take the sacrifice of doing something maybe he didn't want to and getting, the COVID vaccination. I'd be pissed off. I'd be like, damn, okay, so I followed the rules and did everything, put this damn vaccination in my body, didn't want to, right? And, I did it for all the right reasons, and then here's some jerk in the locker room who's cheated the system, and he's just going to get away, scot-free, or scotch-free, as some brilliant people say. And that doesn't make sense.
If I would put, and I'm not trying to be cute here, but I'm trying to provoke thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I put the over/under fake vaccination cards at 85.5,
the whole league.
I'm not sure which. Yeah, league wide, 85.5 fake vaccination.
I'd probably
cards.
take the over.
I probably would too.
Yeah, I would say there's at least 3 on every team. I would say there's 3 on every team. That's just you're playing the roundabout number of that there. So okay, it'd be close. You're right around there. But yeah, I'm going to say I would take the over there. I would.
And you know what? I think here's another reason why they don't want to go down that rabbit hole. And this is pure speculation, but I think it's logical if you think about it from the team perspective. If you got some guys within the team structure who don't believe in the vaccines, who don't believe in any of this, they're making a big deal about nothing. Look, come on. Look, I understand why you don't want to get the vaccine. I know somebody who can hook you up. I know somebody.
Yeah,
what if they would find with one of those teams? Because they didn't find it with Tampa.
Right.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers organization had nothing to do with any of it. This was Mike Edwards and Antonio Brown and the guy whose name I've forgotten because he was cut. He was on the team back in August.
Right.
But they were on their own. But out of 31 other teams, would it shock you if, when the NFL decided to go all the way down the rabbit hole, they found out that a coach or two was involved in getting a guy a fake vaccination card.
Yeah, right.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they don't want to find out, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be surprising to me either. You're right. And again, things like that can go through a locker room in a hurry. Like you said, it's one guy who's with a group of guys who's questions COVID or doesn't want to get the vaccination, and like you said, I know a guy, and all of a sudden you got 10 guys looking and going, "Oh, you know a guy? Oh, well, tell me about it." So, yes, it's a scary subject, and I think, like to your point, Mike, I think a little bit is the ignorance is bliss in this one by the NFL to a degree, as far as like they'd rather not know. They don't want to deal with, whoa, let's not dig this up and deal with all the issues that might come up, and it does seem that way, and it's still shocking that there wasn't really a standard protocol to check to see if the 3 Buccaneers players' vaccination cards were legit. I mean, to me, it's shocking. You would never expect that from a billions and billions of dollar a year entity, that they just kind of like, oh, you gave us a card, that's good. Oh, he's vaccinated. We're not going to really check. It's crazy. I can't believe it.
No, and the card shows where they got it. 3 guys get their shot 80 miles away.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Right.
But shouldn't that, from the moment they handed the cards in, you look at that and say, well, where's that play? I'm kind of familiar
Why
with that.
were you there? Were you vacationing there
80 miles
in that
away?
town I've never heard of? Yeah.
You went through a drive-through facility and you drove 2 hours to drive through the facility?
It's a great. That's the point.
And I'm telling you, Chris, you said it right. Ignorance is bliss. The flip side is knowledge may be fatal, not internally, but externally. They already got Congress up their butt over the Washington football team investigation. This is just play it out. Let's imagine how the dominoes fall here. If there are 100 guys with fake vaccination cards, if they do stumble over one team, just one team, where members of the front office or members of the coaching staff were involved in hooking guys up with fake cards, at what point does Congress start sending letters to the commissioner requesting information and suggesting there will be hearings on a serious public health matter where the NFL, the facade is we did everything right, but behind that flimsy little storefront, it's corrupt.
Yeah.
That's why they don't want to know. It's not that they don't want to know. It's they don't want everybody else to know.
I don't doubt that one bit. You're right, and again, I think it's a can of worms that they don't want to really open up the can and deal with it.
Can of something.
Yeah,
it's a can of something.
It is.
I think it's worse than worms.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I'd be mad.
There's all sorts of stuff that's in that can worse than worms that they're getting themselves into. That's why they didn't do it. That's why they didn't do it. So, combination of we don't want to put in the time, we don't want to put in the money, and we don't want to find out what we may find out.
Right. No, I think that's fair to say. And it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be interested to see here the next few weeks. Are they going to mandate the guys that are vaccinated to get the booster? Is that going to be a real thing? It's
a no-brainer.
Yeah.
If you want to continue to be treated as vaccinated, you got to go get the booster. Otherwise, you're treated as unvaccinated. It's that simple.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten a booster. I mean, why? Because, I've been vaccinated and it's wearing off. So you go get the booster. I will tell you this. If you get the booster, give yourself about 18 hours to get your ass kicked by it.
Yeah.
But it's worth it on the other side. You get your peace of mind and you know that
sure.
you're protecting the people around you are protected.
Yeah, no, so. You're right. And I'm due to get my booster. So, I mean, I'm at the point where I'm like around getting close to that 6 months where I'm probably going to have to go get it here sometime in the next few weeks myself. So
you better get your ass boosted before we go to L.A. and we're face-to-face.
That would be good. I'm not going to get boosted, and I'm going to give you big kiss when I see you. Big kiss and just hug you and, just talk all up in your face. I can't wait to see you, though. It's been so damn long. I mean, I forgot what you look like in person.
Will you vomit in a trash can?
Well, you never know.
The last time I was with you, you threw up in a trash can.
Thought I had COVID.
Maybe
I was like, damn, I got COVID.
0.
I'm good. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. It depends how you treat me that week. I mean, if you treat me like crap, then I might puke, just to keep you away from me a little bit because I know you'll be scared.
I'm trying to stretch that out long enough for the control room to queue up the there it is. There it is. The never-ending loop.
Have I ever told you that before I walked in the building there that morning, right? So I'm walking there and I'm going, man, I really don't feel good. I'm trying to suck it up. I've already texted producer Matt Casey that I didn't feel good and that I had already thrown up once. And as I was getting close to, that facility there in Indianapolis, I'm 20 feet from the door. I kind of started to throw up in the bushes, and Matt Nagy and a few Bears coaches were walking out of the door right as I was sitting there in the bushes going, "Blah," and he's like, "Hey, Chris," and I'm like, "Hey, coach." I mean, it was uncomfortable. It was an uncomfortable morning.
And at least you told me that it was bushes, because you know where I thought this was going? I thought this was going to a place where some poor public service worker in Indianapolis had to deal with a trash can.
No.
And as the folks in Stamford would have learned, there are things far worse than water that Chris can deposit into a trash can that they then have to deal with.
Right.
So the Bushes aren't happy about it, but the folks who take care of the public receptacles in Indianapolis were very thrilled.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.